interesting conversations.
But, you know, yeah, it's interesting. You know, we speak on Andrew Tate and we speak on people like Donald Trump, and they're highly controversial people. They're people which, they start conversations, they rile people up because it's such an emotional topic, isn't it? It's like, you know, are you being man enough? Are you doing enough? And because I'm not saying everyone, because there's so many people who are either sold short in life, or they're underachieving, or because of the way the system is set up, so many people are broken, right?
Well, yeah, you got to behave, haven't you?
You do, yeah.
And if you're in the system, you've got to behave, because there's so many punishments, such as if you don't pay that parking fine, CCJ, and you don't want a CCJ on your name because you want to buy a house.
Yeah.
You want to get a mortgage, you won't get a mortgage if you've got a CCJ.
True.
So you need to behave all the time with everything, even down to parking fines.
Yeah.
It's mad.
It
You can't pay a bill because you're not paid enough. You'll get a CCJ. Then you can literally never buy a house. So yeah, they really do control them. And when there's topics, excuse me, like Andrew Tate and Donald Trump, who just rinse the system, hence why they get deleted.
Yeah, yeah. And they're self-made without the system.
Yeah, yeah. And have you watched this programme on Channel 4 called Alone?
No.
It's amazing. I am loving it. Basically,
okay.
People were dumped in the most northern point of Canada where trees can survive. Any more northern, they don't survive.
Wow.
And people are quitting on day 2. Their mindsets are broken. Like they miss home so much. And I'm like, it's day 2! It's insane.
Yeah, yeah. You've not even got to the point of being uncomfortable yet.
It's because it's so easy. They got a radio. They press 3 buttons. They can go home. Take away the radio. Give them no choice. They will survive.
They will. Yeah.
Because it's either do or die. And I'm watching this program and I'm thinking, it's exactly the same as life and even the mentees. You know, it's so easy to quit and just go back to the job because the option's there. Take away the option of a job, it's like there's no other income.
Yeah.
They will make it in rent to rent because there's no other choice. And this is why people quit on day 2 of Alone, because the radio's there. And they press 3 buttons, they can go home, they can see their family, get comfortable, sleep in a bed, go to the pub, put on nice dry clothes. Take that radio away, they will win the channel programme. And I'm just like, I'd love to go on this programme. Yeah. I'd love Andrew Tate to go on the programme, because he'd be there setting up his tent and building it, like calling everyone a bitch.
Yeah.
No one is going to beat me. He'd be brilliant. I wish he would apply.
Do you know the thing is as well? It's because we live in a world where all of that stuff is silenced. I think it's, as a man, it's so refreshing when you hear it. When you actually hear it, like, come on, man, you're not supposed to be like this. It's like the sort of things your father would say to you.
Yeah.
You know, stop crying, mate. Get up and deal with it. And like, that's how you. But we live in a world now where it's now okay to be soft and sensitive. And actually, you have to accommodate other people's softness and sensitivities. I can't be the way I am around soft people because they might complain against me and cancel me, and then like my whole channel gets cancelled.
Yeah, people are so easily offended as well.
They are, yeah.
You almost need to tread carefully. Like the way I asked you, do you like Andrew Tate? Was if you said no,
you can pivot that way.
I can pivot. Like I agree, but I love him. I love his I love his message. It was like his message is very clear. Every man needs to be solely responsible for every single action they take in their life, and do their best to their ability, and don't succumb to the system. Like, go to the gym, work hard. You know, don't believe you have depression. It's not an illness you can catch from the sky. He says that so many times.
Yeah.
And it's incredible and, like you say, refreshing to hear it. It's like, finally, you know?
Finally,
I don't watch the news at all. I used to, and the moment I stopped is when we were told to clap our hands and sing Happy Birthday twice whilst washing our hands to get rid of COVID. And I was like, that's our government telling us to sing Happy Birthday whilst washing our hands.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unbelievable. And very controversial topics, you know.
I think COVID really dropped the smokescreen. I think governments around the world, I mean, obviously we all know that the world sort of is trying to coordinate itself into one government and consolidate power essentially. And I think COVID really drop the smokescreen that they had spent years building, because so many people could then see what governments were for. Like, you could see countries coordinating with other countries where they'd have exactly the same lockdown laws, and you realised, man, this is massive. Did you hear about Sweden? Didn't even lock down. Sweden didn't even do a lockdown. And do you know what? People were sat in, and it's Andrew Tate I learnt this from.
Yeah,
people were sat in bars, weren't they? And they were just watching the news, like, of everyone else, like cities just derelict, where everyone was at home. And they're in Sweden partying, going, what's going on with the world?
Mad.
What's going on? But they had their freedom, and obviously Sweden had the lowest rates of COVID. And Sweden probably aren't playing the same ball game. And so, like, it's,
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't believe in COVID, you were punished by the masses.
Yeah, you were.
Even your family.
Yeah.
Because it's so... They made it sound so scary that your family would frown and be like, what are you doing? You don't want the jab. Have you seen the news? People are dying everywhere. When was the last time you heard an ambulance race through this town?
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw an ambulance? If there's a pandemic, ambulances should be everywhere.
True.
And I'm not saying they weren't, but from my own personal experience, I didn't see a pandemic.
Mate, if you go on the National Office of Statistics, you'll see it all. Because you can track the flu rates, right? This is fascinating. I've verified this myself. So you can track the flu rates. Go on the National Office of Statistics and look at what the flu rates are for the year COVID came out in 2020, right? No flu. Flu, it's increases ever so slightly, but it's something like 100,000, 200,000 cases a year, or whatever the number is, right? It dropped to zero, Kenny. 2020, it dropped to it's like there is no flu. Because what they've done is masqueraded flu as COVID. It was all the same symptoms. And then the COVID figures tally up with the pattern of growth over the last 10 years for the flu figures. So the amount of figures that we had for COVID was bang in line with the proportionate growth of flu. And it's just people don't think, and people going out sticking jabs in their arms. They're getting killed. Like, people are getting killed. Like, they're getting vaccinated. They're dying.
It's because they For me, my mindset is, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it regardless of what people tell me.
Yeah.
And that is including family, media, what we are believed, what we've been taught to believe from kids. Becoming financially free. The amount of friends that told me financial freedom isn't a thing. It's like, well, just Google it. It tells you what the meaning is. Passive income from assets. That's financial freedom. True. Where you can use the money to get your assets managed, so it's fully passive. But people are so narrow-minded, and they believe the path they're on. I'm not being patronising to the masses. I'm just like, they are closed-minded. They're not open-minded. And the path they are on, obviously they believe is the right path, because that's the path they're on, and everyone believes the path they're on is the best path. But as soon as you shut out the system, you turn off the news, COVID wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for electricity. Because there would be no radios, there would be no television, there would be no pandemic.
And you wouldn't be seeing anyone dying.
No, there would be no pandemic.
Yeah, there wouldn't.
So I don't watch the news, I don't listen to the media. It's full of bad news, full of people that are depressed, and it's brainwashing. The moment you turn it off, and you turn off everything, and the moment you start seeing it, you start to question everything you've been taught in life. School, the school system hasn't changed in decades, and it never will, because it's working. People are becoming employees more than they are entrepreneurs.
Yes.
It's mental. I think if they flip it and create masses of entrepreneurs, the world would accelerate in terms of growth. We just get to the future so much quicker.
I see it like, I agree with you, and I've always seen it in two different stages of what they do to you. This is how they break you down and get you, right? Which is like, school is where they teach you to be obedient. You leave school, then they teach you to be fearful. And
detention, misbehave, detention.
Yeah, sit there for an hour wasting your time. And that's what I mean, is like, school folds you. It folds your own, where you were saying then, you don't care what someone's going to tell you. If you want to do it, I'm going to do it. That's what school nullifies.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it nullifies that, like, I want to be me, I want to be different. School's like, no, conform, wear your uniform, do whatever.
Yeah,
turn up at the same time.
The heat wave we just went through.
Yeah.
The school in my local town had to wear the blazers,
Okay.
and black blazers, full uniform, and they'd be sent to detention if they took them off. There was teachers patrolling on lunchtime. This is lunchtime. They even had to wear the blazers on lunchtime.
Why would they do that? Like,
Because the teachers are told to do it
Yeah.
by the headmaster, who is told to do it by the school head honcho, who is told to
Yeah.
do it by the system.
yeah, the
It's
education
like
department.
conform all the way down the ladder.
Even through your own suffering, conform. It doesn't matter if you're
Yeah.
overheating, you're sweating, you're uncomfortable. Deal with it.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I'm actually really worried that as my son gets older and is, disciplined at school, I'm gonna have to keep my lips sealed because it will just cause so much clashes in the family. So I went through school conforming, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm financially free. I've created Rise Up all off of my own mindset. So I will just help my son with his mindset and just make him aware, like, this is why you went to detention, but actually this is the reason why. It's not the teacher's
Yes,
fault.
yeah.
It's the system's fault. So just make them aware that, look, if you go against the system, you'll be punished. But just be aware of it. And I think you can't change it, It's the masses. You would never change the opinion and the system. It's always going to be there. It's just to recognise an exit strategy. And that is how you get out. So that's how I'm at peace with the school system. Is
Yeah.
At least I can teach my son to recognise it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to keep my lips shut when he's, I've seen a picture of an examination paper that a kid was asked to draw a clock displaying 10 past 11. So what do you think he drew? He drew a digital clock saying 11:10.
Yeah.
She put wrong. And it's like, that's correct. You asked
It
him
is.
to draw a clock
Yeah.
showing 10 past
Yeah,
11.
but they didn't specify.
Yeah, she
They
didn't
want an analog
specify.
clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was genius.
That
The
is
kid was clever. It's
Yeah.
like, no, but they're told it's wrong.
Yeah, but he's found another way to do it, which is exactly what
And-
entrepreneurialism is. Yeah,
find
yeah.
a way around it.
Yeah, it's
Multiple answers are correct.
It's true, man. Just off the back of what you're saying, I agree with it. And I was speaking to Rochelle, my partner, probably for the last probably since Serena's been born, but leading up to her birth, I was saying I want to homeschool her. I don't want to put her through the system, exposing her to all of the kind of the things that the system wants her to be. I want her to have home tutors, so she can do the English, maths, art, sciences. She can get those basics down. Join a gymnastics class, join a martial arts class, so you get your socialising in with other kids. And,
Discipline.
Yeah, and your discipline. And that's what I said to Rochelle. I was like, that's what we're going to do with Serena, because I'm not putting her through the school, because she's going to be turned into a slave, and then we've got to undo all of that stuff. Slavery is what schools want. And just going back a little bit to what you were saying about the CCJs, like you're going to get punished for this, you're going to get punished for that. I heard a really great breakdown of that system from a rich person. And they said, I think it was on YouTube or somewhere, but they said, it was Robert Kiyosaki, and he said, you have to realise there's a different set of rules for us, us rich people. It's a different set of rules to you poor people. He's talking to this guy, this interviewer. He's literally like the power dynamic. I was just like, oh my god, Robert Kiyosaki's really telling this guy how to live, and this guy doesn't get it. And he's saying, you're taught to be poor. You think poor. And he's like, there's a different set of rules for rich people. If you go down the street and you want to drive, it's a 30-mile-an-hour street, and you want to drive 40, what happens? And you get a ticket for it. You're going to have to pay £60 or whatever the cost is, right? If you get a parking, you can't park where you want as a poor person, because if you get a parking ticket, it starts off at 30 quid and then it ends up being 90 or whatever it is.
This is why you see
paid it,
Lamborghinis
right?
parked outside of clubs and Range Rovers parked outside of clubs.
Yeah.
In London and in Bristol, everywhere.
Yes.
On double yellows.
Because they don't care.
They just pay the £70 parking fine.
What happened when you breached the COVID rules? You got a fine, right? And this is what this, I think, it was Robert Kiyosaki which was saying, and that's why rich people go around and they can do what they, and it is as much as it's cliche when they say, rich people have a different set of rules, they actually do. They actually do, because they're punished by money.
CCJs don't matter when you're a limited company.
No.
You're your own boss.
Yeah.
You're going to give yourself more business.
Exactly, yeah, and you can front run from the company, so it's not
worst
yourself.
case scenario, you're trying to grow your rent-to-rent business. You've got 3 properties, and you've got CCJs from parking fines. You can just say, okay, Well, I'll pay the landlord 6 months rent up front. Boom.
Done.
Done.
Yeah.
Around it.
Who says no?
Yeah.
No one says no to 20k in our
Yeah.
account straight away. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I realised is it's true. There are a different set of rules, which is exactly why Boris Johnson and all those lot for the lockdown and they had the Partygate scandal and everything. I was just thinking, but that's just rich people because they can afford it. They're not scared by £1,000. They're not scared by a £30 fine. But who is? Poor people.
Yeah, poor people.
I've been there. Like, man, I can't afford that £30 fine this month. And, and it's...
Well, you can't... Yeah, you can afford it, but it's like,
but it stretches you, and you're like
30 quid.
Yeah, 30 quid, and then when it goes to 90, why didn't I pay the 30?
I had a parking fine in Birmingham. Went through the clean air zone with my old car, right? This is going back a couple of years, and I fought it because I literally stopped for a second to pick up someone from the train station, but it was because I stopped. That's where I got. It was so frustrating, and I refused to pay it, and it went to £3.50. And I was like, I should really pay this because if it goes up anymore, I can't afford it.
Man, that's painful.
But I should have just paid the 60 to start with, and that's where they get you.
That is where they get you. Yeah, that is where they get you. And I've had a few of those myself, but it is a different set of rules. And I just thought to myself, right, it's I don't want to live a life where I'm fearful and I'm told what to do, and I feel like I have a glass ceiling over my head, or that I can only earn 25 or 30k a year or whatever it is. Which is considered good. And like I remember when I was growing up and teachers would say, Ivan, don't do this, Ivan, don't do that, and no, you should be like this, you should be, and I'd take it all in, but I used to always think to myself, but I don't want to be like you.
Yeah.
I used to always think, I'm taking your advice, but I don't want to be anything like you. I was like, you're a 60-year-old person, you're in a 25k a year job working as a teacher, which I don't condemn teachers. They do such a fantastic job.
They're part of the system, aren't
They're
they,
part of it,
teachers?
yeah.
They went through school, they went to uni or whatever they did to become a teacher on 30k a year.
Sure.
And that you've got people with 30k a year mindsets teaching our children on how to go about life.
Yeah.
So ultimately, and they're there for 6-7 hours a day, and then they come home and it's all mad. You do dinner, so you've got Monday to Friday, a 30k mindset person molding our children on for the rest of our lives. That's crazy.
And they're going to create more 30k mindsets.
And it's 6-7 hours a day for that reason.
Yeah. And I'll do those jobs for 10 years plus.
Yeah.
And that's nuts. And I used to always think to myself, I don't want 25k. I was like, how do I get 100, 250, 500k a year? I was like, how do these people do it? I was like,
the only way to do it is get around those people.
Yes, because you can't find them anywhere. When you're in school, go find someone who put
Well, actually, it's changed so much. So how old are you?
35.
Same age as me.
Oh.
Go back, phones 3310s.
Yeah.
The internet, it's crazy. You can have a mobile phone and you can start a business.
Yes.
Back then, the only way to start a business is, I don't even know.
Go for the phone book, probably.
I don't even know. You'd have to have a mentor.
Pages.
You'd have to have a mentor who knows the ins and outs and meet them in person.
Yeah.
Or ring them. But now it's so easy.
It is.
So easy. And again, it reverts back to the mentees. It's like all you have to do is pick up the phone and make phone calls. And you can become financially free in 12 months.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Everything's so... You can go on Rightmove, see pictures of the houses that you're going to see. You couldn't do that 15, 20 years ago.
True, man. Do you know what, Kenny? I think, mate, and I learnt this from my friend because I've been really trying to pull him along this journey with me and be like, bro, it's going to change you because he's struggling. And I was like, bro, it's going to change your life. All you got to do is apply yourself. He sees what I've done and he's like, mate, I want to get involved. And he's let me down every single step of the way. And the thing is, I think, what's really sad is to see so many people live a life where they never achieve what they're capable of achieving because they're just scared. They're scared of and I think not everyone, but so many people carry this sense of
fear of failure.
Yeah, it is a fear of failure.
And
then when they get rejected,
not to try though.
Yeah, and when they get rejected, it reinforces something in them that goes, "Oh, I knew I couldn't do this." And I've seen it so many times. Yeah, it's the one time.
Yeah, it's because of school.
Probably.
You can sit one test. If you fail it, that determines the rest of your life. Why can't you retake it? Why can't you retake all of your GCSEs? You fail once and it affects the rest of you, and it all stems from school.
Yeah.
One wrong answer. It's like, No, one right answer.
Mm.
And it's the same across life. It's mad. It's mad how, I heard a saying the other day, and it's so true. No matter how much you want to pull one of your friends up, you can beg them, show them all the results. If they don't want to go up, they won't go up. But it's so easy for someone to drag you down.
Yeah.
For someone that's on the verge, on the climb up, it's so easy for a negative person to drag you down and affect your mindset. But if you're trying to encourage people to go up and they don't want to go up, they will never go up.
True, man. And I think as well, like, success is directly correlated to your relationship with failure. It's directly correlated. If you've got... I love failure. I welcome it. I look for the failure because I'm like, where's the lesson here? When I fail, I embrace it. And I sit down and I feel the feeling and I go, I hate this feeling. And I go, feel this, Ive. You've done this to yourself. And I'll really give myself in my head. I'm really like hammering myself. But where's the lesson? Where's the lesson? Don't do this, and then you realise it. Don't do it next time. How would you do it different?
It's speed as well, isn't it? If you can fail faster, you'll get to the goal faster.
Yeah.
If you take your time with failure and trying to prolong it, like because you don't want to see it. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos. I think he sat down with like 66 investors and pitched Amazon. Wasn't it like 2 or 4 investors?
I can't remember the story, but yeah.
Yeah, something like that, like 2 or 4 investors. And it took him a lot of meetings to try and get to that level, and only 4 people signed up. So, and it took him like 20 years to build it.
It's crazy.
I bet he had, he didn't get lucky. It was consistency, multiple failures. Same with Elon Musk.
Do you watch Dragon's Den?
I used to.
So Peter James, Peter James?
Yeah.
Incredible story for that guy. So he built himself up to a multi-million-pound level, obviously, with a telecommunications company. And then he was a multi-millionaire with however many properties around London and the UK. And he lost it all. He ended up doing something where he had he got stripped of everything. Ended up going from this multi-millionaire status to living back. He had to declare bankruptcy and go and live back at home with his mum. Yeah. And that's where and that was in his 30s. He did that.
But his knowledge.
Yes.
He's got it all.
He's got it all back. Yeah, he built it all back. And it just goes to show, doesn't it? It's like, look at us. It's like we contemplate the idea of failure, and it's like we're only like maybe on the first or second rung of that ladder.
Yeah.
Or I am, at least. I mean, like, you're probably a bit further up. But you look at Peter Jones, who's fallen from the roof.
Yeah.
Like,
Same with Simon Cowell.
Yeah.
He lived, £5. You said you started your business with £5. He lost millions and millions. Simon Cowell moved back home with £5 in his. I don't know if that's true, but that's his story. And now he's 100 millionaire again.
Yeah. It's because it's nothing to do with your money. It's nothing to do with your knowledge, education. It's all to do with your mindset.
100%. Put Elon Musk's mind in my body, I'd be a multi-billionaire.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have been there like years ago.
It's knowledge and mindset.
Yeah.
And you can do anything.
True.
Yeah.
It's very true, man. And the thing is, mindset's not fixed and it's not locked and it's not permanent either. So it's like if you have got a shitty mindset and you find it hard to get up and get going with things, or you find yourself talking yourself out of things, highlighting negatives more than positives, it's not something you're stuck with forever.
No, you can change your mindset. My mindset has changed a lot. It's because of COVID, really. That highlighted a lot for me. That, I didn't want the jab because... Long story cut short, I self-studied nutrition, right? And I learnt a lot about food and how it affects the body. So my body is a temple, and I didn't want this unknown substance. And people will say, well, you can go online and see exactly what's in the ingredients. I don't care. I didn't want a lab-made fluid in my body because I was so clean with my eating for a long time, 2 years. Basically, I was on the carnivore diet for 2 years. So fair. Meat and dairy only for 2 years.
Wow,
nothing.
Nice.
I had a slice of cake on my birthday, and I was up all night being sick.
Wow.
So that's the only cheat
Says
I had
a lot,
in 2 years.
doesn't it?
Yeah. So I was dead against getting the COVID jab. And you join these types of Facebook groups that are, in the similar diet as me. And you learn so much. When you self-study something, it's quite easy to go on Google, how do I lose weight? And it would give you the system. 5 fruit and veg, which is just glucose. You know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
the moment you step outside the system, and it just tumbleweeded from there, really. It
Yeah.
just grew. Self-studying stuff. And I stumbled across property on a YouTube advert about the school system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how it hasn't changed in decades, and, you know, and
Yeah.
it really gets your mind working. And the moment you recognise the system and what you believe to be right, and actually you've just been part of the system and you're going through life, and this is how actually you would die, poor, or you might do quite well, comfortable. I think comfortable is really being stretched now. I think there was a phase of comfortable. I think it's really stretched.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think comfortable will exist in the next 5 years. I think it'd be gone.
Yeah.
But the moment you start to recognise, the moment you start to pull yourself out and self-train,
Yeah.
you know,
I think you're right, mate. I think the point of where anybody who exits the system, that turning point is always when you realise you've been lied to all these years.
Yeah.
It's when you realise you've been
and then
lied
you start
to.
to question, what else have you been lied to?
Yes. And then housing's one of them. Housing, taxes is another. Diet and nutrition is another. So yeah, when I train as a personal trainer, I also self-taught myself the nutrition side of things as well.
Yeah.
And I find that absolutely fascinating.
It's fascinating. It's extremely controversial because everyone believes what they're eating is the most healthy. Well, not all of them, but meet a vegan, they'll have a good argument. And this, I'm just like that. Look, I'm just like, look, you do you,
Yeah.
and I'll do me. You know, but yeah. If I want to cut half of my listeners, then I'll go on about carnivore diet. But
Yeah, you've got to be so careful with that, haven't you?
yeah, I just keep myself to myself. You know, just do what you think is best for you, and I don't think you can go too far wrong. Even if vegans have their arguments, and it's fine. I'm not against it. I think just go on and do you. Don't push your opinions on others. That's what I've learned is self-study stuff and do what is best for you. If you want to be in a job and you want to climb the ladder, then that's fine. You're going to live a happy life because that's what you want to do.
Yeah,
I wanted to be financially free. I wanted to eat these types of foods, so I do. It makes me happy.
Yeah, fair play to you, mate.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, isn't it? Are you happy? You know, are you happy doing what you're doing? And sometimes picking the easy route isn't the one that makes you the happy.
No, you'll be the grumpiest
Yeah.
because you've just bent over, touched your ankles, and doing what the government asked you to do, really.
Basically.
And we'll end it there. I'll end the podcast there.